can we modernize Wing Chun, make it effective against somebody today with a modern sport combat background? Well, first thing we have to do is we have to get rid of this old temple, battlefield, large, forward facing, there's somebody on a horse this way and somebody with a Quan Dao over here mentality. Take weapons out of the situation and just assume that we're adapting and using the science of Wing Chun and Wing Chun for unarmed modern combatives against somebody who's in a fighter's position, who obviously has an incredible lead jab. Well, in that situation, we take our Tan Sao, this big battlefield tempo motion, and our Gong Sao, these incredible scientific motions which are designed against large weapons and multiple opponents, and we shrink them down. Our Pak Sao becomes exactly what every professional fighter I know talks about. Which parry works better? Is it this one? Is it that one? And, fighters experiment with all sorts of defense and contemporaneous defense and offense. So what we can do is, instead of thinking of Tan Sao as this kind of like forearm block and this Lin Seal Dai Da, this simultaneous attack and defense occurring with these huge, beginner motions, we can think of Tan Sao as just the back of the arm block. So Tan Sao can actually just be a transition from a parry into a shield. Think of Pak Sao as this and Tan Sao as this. This is our Pak, and this is our Tan. So all of a sudden we can transition and flow into more modern unarmed combatives and elbows and other techniques without this kind of huge, silly, goofy. It's not goofy, it has its place, sure. If multiple people are attacking you, you don't want to fight like this. But we really need to use the science, throw away the terminology, and use the precision and the science and the mechanics of it, which is so brilliant, and adapt that into modern combatives. And we can do that with Gong Sao too, which again is this 3-foot long, super powerful low block. We can just incorporate that into, like we do with the Tan Sao and the Pak Sao, and kind of make those medium-sized motions or small motions. They don't have to be this big battlefield. Chung, chung. Small motions. Elbow blocks. And parries and so forth. This is what Grandmaster Bruce Lee said, which was so brilliant. He said, don't get caught up on the words. The words and the terminology are hanging you up. He said, just let the words go. Focus on the concepts, the techniques, and efficacy, what works. And the brilliance of Wing Chun cannot be left in the past. This art and science of strong blocking, of airtight defense, we should really explore it and incorporate it and adapt it into modern combatives. And, in pro fighting, there's some guys who are great at rhythming, some guys who are great at using their feet, some guys who aren't. Some guys who have killer offense and some guys who don't. And there's some guys who can really block with their hands and some guys who can't. And that's what Wing Chun is all about. Airtight defense and these gates, which are blocked so tightly and zoned so intelligently that the body is just protected regardless of the size of the attacker. So let's play with these concepts. Like I said, we don't have to do the modern or the anachronistic, the outdated, these huge motions. We can adapt it into these smaller motions to where we're using Lin Seal Dai Da, we're using this principle of simultaneous attack and defense, moving both arms coordinated with the body as one unit, and it just becomes so valuable to incorporate Pak Sao, Tan Sao, Gong Sao, and even bong sao, if we start to think of it as modern traps and actual moves and techniques that we use, and take the terminology and the classical wording behind it, so it doesn't have to be this, it can be this. That can be a pop sao. Doesn't have to be this. It can be this. This can be a tong sao. So that's the idea. Modernize it by changing our approach, by opening our mind, by shortening and making the motion smaller, and bringing it out of this battlefield mentality and stance into this more modern sport combat fighting